some say the hardest job in the world is being a doctor. Others say it's running a Fortune 500 company. But those that I've spoken to in the very trenches of corporate life will tell you that the real battle is in the workplace, regardless of where it is. And the unspoken enforcer of this battlefield is HR. Human resources, the department everyone loves to hate, the one that holds the key to hiring, firing, and everything in between there. And yet, despite their power, most employees don't seem to trust them. In fact, surveys say that more than 70% of tech employees don't believe HR has their best interest at heart. So why is that? Let's also talk about office romance, one of the biggest HR gray areas that we find. Dating a coworker has been frowned upon for decades, yet it still happens all the time. Is it a harmless connection? Is it a legal and emotional minefield that workers should always avoid? Should employees report their relationships to HR if indeed they happen and HR doesn't know about it? We'll talk about those as well. Then there's AI. More importantly, its influence in hiring. It's meant originally to make recruitment fairer, but it's actually sometimes making it harder for candidates to stand out. And when employers also sometimes go silent, popularly known as ghosting, what happens? How should candidates react to those? How should they position themselves to avoid situations like that? More importantly, there's also the salary debate. Every worker is looking forward to good compensation, but we all don't know how to have those conversations sometimes. Who determines how much you are paid when your salary increases happens? Why is it that most payroll workers feel their managers do less work even though they get paid higher? And where is that justification coming from? At the end of the day, every career is a choice. It's a balancing act between passion, pay, peace of mind, and the fulfillment of life. So we would also explore, when do you decide to walk away from a career path or to decide to change for it? I could not be more excited to be joined by Afolake Ismaila. Now, beyond my personal successes in life, where she's given me great advice and been a mentor I could turn to, she's a global HR leader with over 10 years of core HR experience. She has worked in different capacities across various industries and countries and with diverse cultures globally. She currently works as a senior global people partner in a global tech company. She's deeply passionate about people by bringing a strategic human-centered approach to everything she does. I'm an evidence of that. And her mission is to help people and business succeed together. I'm so thrilled to have you on this episode, and thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you so much.
I had prepped a quick intro question for you, but a friend of mine sent me a meme when I told them I was planning for this episode. So I'll read that meme out to you first, and then you tell me how you react when you see such things on social media describing the way in which HRs behave. So this was an email from an employee to HR that said, "Dear HR, I am suffering from coronavirus and request you grant me paid leave for 30 days. Otherwise, I will come to the office. Best regards, John T." Then HR responds by saying, "Dear John, after knowing that you are infected, we have immediately asked all other employees to work from home. Therefore, you can come to the office and start working. Your leave request is rejected. Thanks."
That's a
And
smart one.
yeah, and
That's a smart one.
the caption of this was, "HR always has a solution, regardless of whatever problem you present."
I tell you,
Yeah,
from the earlier part where you mentioned that yes, it has coronavirus. First thing
yeah,
is that empathy, or one of my team members is
yeah,
out sick. How do we protect him? How do we check that the rest of the team? But the
yeah.
intent now,
The intent
we
was
can
clearly
see
not to
where it's
come to work.
going.
Yeah,
We can see where it's going. So we'll be prepared. We are prepared. Yes, at every point in time, we have the right answer to give.
yeah. How do you feel when you see such memes on social media describing HR as a set of people who find solutions to everything you throw at them? And usually the intent behind these memes is to create the impression that these solutions are the inconvenience of the employee and at the convenience of the employer?
So I would say that we don't have the right answer every time. We
Yeah.
from try to assess the point of view where that request is coming or where that communication is coming from. And
Okay.
yes, from there we see the intent. Like I said, we see the intent and we know how to deal with it.
Okay.
There are times that we may not have the feedback or the right answer immediately. We also
Yeah.
consult. Yes, there's
Oh,
a part that's okay. How do we deal with this? What's the right time or what's the right way to address issues like this? So it's not just one person doing it all. It's about just ensuring that yes, you are taking the right steps in addressing such issues and feedback. If I see it online, I laugh because
yeah.
it's some people's experience they are putting out there.
Yeah.
And as much as possible, we want to be some sort of an individual that you can freely come to. And
Yeah.
yes, you have that no, no, I won't say commitment. You have that willingness to come and know that this person will be there to aid your whatever issues that you have, would also
Yeah.
provide some comfort to whatever it is that the problem is. So that's what
Yeah.
we want to portray, and that's what we stand for. But some people have different experiences, and it makes them act in different ways.
Yeah, quite interesting. Because I go around seeing several different versions of these memes, and I'm like, if I was an HR person and I'm going through these, do I get angry? Do I feel a little bit misrepresented? Do I feel like the world is hating on us while we are not the problem? And I decided to just ask you because I wanted to know how you feel when you see some of these things online.
Yes,
But
I totally agree and understand that
yeah,
it's people's experience. And if you get um, some people together to talk about what they experience in the workplace, it may not be as nice. But yeah, there's also the other part of it where people have had fantastic experience in places they've worked, and also with the HR they've worked with.
yeah, yeah. Okay, now back to my original opening question. Um, COVID-19 changed a lot about the world. Work is probably the place that we feel it most, even in its absence. A lot of people resigned to working from home. A lot of people started companies with the idea of remote work, and companies were forced to transition. What do you think is the most intriguing aspect of the post-COVID world in terms of work that you've found, and how companies are trying to deal with it?
Is the fact that businesses need to decide what happens after COVID with regards to the work model. So,
Yeah,
what's next for us? But the question is, what works for the company? What
yeah,
were they doing pre-COVID, and
okay,
what has COVID made the company do, and what happened post-COVID? COVID, yes, we've had organizations that typically would wanted to have a remote work setup, and they've
yeah,
said from the onset, this is what we want to do. And because it
yeah,
works for us, we know that our team members can be anywhere across the world and get the job done. There
yeah,
are also some type of businesses that run on the fact that we need to be physically in the office to maybe attend to our clients or stakeholders and all. So that was pre-COVID, and that was the essence of the company, which they feel that yes, that's the way they can achieve their bottom line. But COVID
yeah,
happened, and it pushed us to not be able to interact, and all of us being at home and working remotely. There's some jobs, even at that time, that became redundant because you just cannot do it
yeah,
from home. And there were also some that a limited part of it you could do it. And afterwards, yeah, we were back to post-COVID, where yes, there is now that free will to decide where and what works for the organization. So for me, I
Yeah.
would say that for an organization to decide, it's about assessing pre-COVID, during and post-COVID in terms of productivity, what they stand for, and what
Okay.
their bottom line has been, and also actually the impact it has had in their team members, in the employees. So yeah,
Okay.
you base it on data, you base it on facts. You are able to assess, yes, maybe this is your productivity level, this is the state of welfare of your team members pre-COVID. COVID, it was fully remote. This was it. Were you still achieving your business objective? Were people working as how they are expected to work? Post-COVID, what are you doing? Is it that you try to marry both, more or less like take a part of remote and take a part of physical work, which is the hybrid that we have today? And
Yeah.
yes, you also maybe have tried that, and you've also would have assessed the impact or the outcome of it. So this is dependent on the company to say this is what works for us. Communicate also to the employees, and I'm sure that if you are transparent with everything, with the numbers, with engagement level, and all, everybody will be able to see, yes, I think this is what works for us. So by the time you are making that decision to say it
Mm.
is this way we are going, I think there will be that alignment because yeah, this is what works for the company.
Okay, okay. That makes a lot more sense. I think usually employees, I don't know why there's always this level of, I don't know whether mistrust or opaqueness between employees and employers, but usually one feels that the decisions of the other is usually not in their best interest. And so you speaking about maybe being a little bit more transparent in terms of the fundamentals behind that decision probably makes it a lot more easier when you are making this decision as a corporation.
Yes, yes. So communication is key. And I would
Yeah.
say that you need to have organization needs to have a culture of a safe space where people can freely air their concerns. When they come
Yeah.
with that concerns, you are addressing it also openly to say, these are the issues that we think you have. These are the reasons they are like this, and these are the things that we are putting in place. So it's about communication, it's about transparency, it's about accepting when things are not going well. And yeah, it's about that. And you see that you would earn the trust. The company earns the trust if
Yeah.
you have such a culture. There's an open door policy, there's every right for you to talk, and there's also a medium for giving feedback. Yes, I
Yeah.
think there are some organizations that are trying to achieve that. Yeah.
Interesting. So the first major thing I wanted us to talk about is probably what most people who will be watching this would want to listen to first. So I want us to get it out of the way, which is dating at work. Um, a friend of mine who is also co-host of this podcast, really, once we were having a conversation, and he said that you are more likely to meet the person you like in a space that you spend the most time in, because dating and relationships is all about building connections. And if you are somebody who spends majority of your time in church, you probably meet your partner in church. If you're somebody who spends majority of your time at the club, you probably do same. And by design, most of us spend majority of our time at work. Yet there is this existing norm or narrative that dating at work should be a no-go area for most people. Is that a thing that you believe in? And should it be the case, given that by design, most people are probably just going to find the people that they like in the workplace anyway?
Yes, yes, and I agree with you. It's something that we cannot disregard in a
Yeah,
workplace. So what we see what organizations try to do is that they just want to not invest so much in dealing with some aftermath of such relationship in the
oh,
workplace. So yeah, let's put our energy in something else.
okay.
Not that some organizations will come out plain, like you said, this is a no-go area. We don't want to discuss about it. It shouldn't even come up. But we
Yeah,
see organizations. that are able to speak about it. In places I've
Okay.
worked, I'll say that we usually would have guidelines around it. And
Okay.
especially in the world now where inclusivity really is important, where we know that do you want to discard people that just find themselves in this situation? And as such, what organizations should do is to ensure that they are prepared for it. Like I mentioned, you just an HR person has a lot of things to deal with, and the question
Yeah.
of this is not, it's not what the person bargains for. But yeah,
Uh,
the reality is either you say you put it out there or not, it still exists. And as
yeah.
such, yeah, it will be better that you are open about it. So I would say organizations should be prepared for it.
Okay.
The way they will prepare first is to ensure that they create a psychological safe space. They create a safe
Okay.
space where even when you are not sure or you're just worried, you can go to HR to say, this is what is happening, what's the guideline
Okay.
about it, what can you advise and all. So you first need
Okay.
to have that safe space where people can easily um, communicate. People trust you that yes, when they
Yeah.
bring their concerns or issues to you, you are the organization is one that will not come back to haunt them
Yeah.
with whatever it is, or even discriminate against it. So if you have that, you now have to create some policies around it. So
Okay.
we agree, we accept that it's possible that it would happen. But yes,
Yeah.
we need to set some guidelines around it. So you see organizations do that. There are guidelines. They also let you know what boundaries that they will put in place, the type of the dating you can do, who you cannot date because of
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, what happens pre-dating, the intention, the time you're dating, and what happens after if eventually
Yeah.
it's not working out because you're still
Yeah.
in the same organization anyway. And how what's the impact it may even have in the larger team? So these
Yeah.
are the things that it takes time, and when it happens, it just takes a lot of time to interfere into it to address it, and so that's why you see organization not wanting to talk about it. But yeah, we have fantastic organizations that you will always see. They put it out there, they let you know it's there, and they guide you
Yeah.
on how to go around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are quite a number of people. So recently, what I do is when I'm trying to prep for an episode, I go on Reddit because I learned a lot of people chat there and give long threads where they share different experiences. And I noticed quite a number of people who work in places where HR says it's okay, or the company approaches it's okay to date. There are regulations around it. Still feel that either those regulations literally just mean it's impossible to date, so the company just gets to take the credit and say, "Well, I allowed it. You just
But
don't want to follow the policy," or they feel that as individuals they want to keep their relationship private, and sometimes just walking around the office and meeting certain people, even if it's HR people, who know your um, personal situation in the office, it's a little bit uncomfortable. So they still can't access these platforms anyway. I don't know if there is a way in which these people should think about this to avoid trapping themselves in that mindset that it's more about wanting your privacy as opposed to ensuring your own protection within that organization.
yeah, so I would still go back to the fact that it comes from the culture of the organization where we say that yes, we are not against this. If we had said
Yeah,
it and we walk the talk, you can see
yeah,
that yes, we have instances where it happened, and yeah, people are fine. It gives you that comfort. I'm sure. I think a lot of people come from the mindset of an organization that's not been fair or nice in that direction to just bring it
yeah,
into another organization. I
yeah,
think in places I have worked, you would always have it as a guideline, and you see
Okay.
people
Okay.
do that, and they go about their work. There is no issues around it. There are no concerns as long as these guidelines that we've put in place. Also, speaking about guidelines, the guidelines are not the ones that totally would restrict such to happen in the
Yeah.
workplace. There are times that we also just want to discourage it
Okay.
because of, yes, of the impact, but not that you won't find people do it. I
Oh,
think the very common one you will see is some guidelines around the fact that managers, a direct relationship management role
oh.
cannot engage in dating, like a
Oh.
manager
And a subordinate.
dating like
Yeah.
a direct subordinate. Yes, it could also extend to some areas where they say even within the team they will
Yeah.
not encourage it, but they are
Yeah.
they definitely will be different teams, and the
Yeah.
reason is type of influence it can even have on the rest of the team. And as
Okay.
such, they want to also ensure they protect the interest of other team members that are not part
Yeah.
of such relationship. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be the type of policy that you cannot even now
Data.
walk around. But there could
Yeah.
be a walk around. But yeah, there could just be some boundaries that will be set, really.
Okay. So I have certain scenarios here. I think you've mentioned a few of them, but basically just to give people a sense of where they should, even if the company allows it, where they shouldn't try or where they should try. So, um, and maybe you could explain whether or not the emotional risks vary or the legal risks vary or productivity risks vary. The first one is the same company and the same team. Should people within that same team date each other?
Same company, yeah, if we have different teams. So this also applies, there's no one cap fits all,
Yeah.
depending on the organization. So when I say a team, it could be a team with sub teams of different sub
Oh,
teams that
okay.
you really do not have such interdependency with the rest of
Okay.
the team. So team could mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see some organization, let's say a team of 5 people and that's it,
Yeah.
or a team of 10 people, they may also just say a no to it because
Okay.
of definitely these interdependencies, the influence and all. Yeah, so it could be a no, but it depends on the team.
Okay. Someone of a higher work level than you, maybe a manager, maybe more like not a manager, but maybe a middle manager who is slightly higher above you. Whether direct, indirect, which ones should people be entertaining?
Direct would be more like a no.
Okay.
Indirect also depends. Is it we have 3, 4 managers within a team and you're dating
Yeah.
one of managers? So it's just a bit tricky. But
Okay.
here you as a well, you can date a manager. But
Okay.
it now depends on, yes, that interconnection. Yeah.
Okay. So primarily, people should be looking at how much they work with each other within that organization.
Yes, how it interferes. Yes,
Okay.
how
Okay.
what you do interferes with the other. What interdependencies we have there. If it is standalone, that yeah, you don't even see,
Yeah.
you don't even have connection at all, and all. Yeah, it could. Employers can allow it, but if it's the one that there's a way that your work just also just depend on this, and there's a way that it interferes outcome and decision making,
Yeah.
that's where that concern would come. And yes, we are also as an organization trying to protect the interest of the larger team, not just the parties. And
Okay.
so if we have that at the back of our mind, we need to ensure that we avoid that conflict of interest issue that may occur.
Interesting. An argument I've heard someone make is that why is it that when someone is interested in dating someone else, then the position of an organization is usually that the more interconnected their work is, the more negative the outcome is likely to be. Because the position some people take is, well, if I care about this person that much and we're in the same team, maybe that means we work harder together. Maybe that means I offer more help to that person and their productivity goes up than somebody that I probably don't care about that much. Maybe that means that in good situations, the outcome of positivity is multiplied. And usually the corporation's position is from the perspective of in bad situations, the negative outcomes multiply. So if that's the case, why is the negativity now being the default position in making a decision?
So the parties are the ones that have that optimistic, yes, this is how it would happen. This is how we wish it would play out. But
Yeah.
most of the time, it doesn't play out that way.
Okay.
It does not, but even based on experience, we've
Yeah.
seen a lot of things happen. Relationships in the workplace impact productivity, the rest of the team,
Yeah.
and you are trying to see how you bring people together. They are segregated with one party and the
Yeah.
other one segregated with the other party. So there's a lot to it. You going into it, you feel that yes, it would hate productivity, we'll work together, we'll even be happy together. But don't forget that there are times that it will all not be going smoothly. What happens if you're in the same team and you're angry from home and things are just weary and you're bringing it to work and it's
Yeah.
impacting activity? So that's the other part that people need to check.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's not about we do not want it or organizations, but it's because of what they've seen, what they've
Okay.
experienced, what has happened.
Okay.
And yes, so also would always realize that we have this newer generations coming, and yeah, just being too optimistic, positivity is there, yes, it will work out and we feel this is the best for us. But yeah, we are talking from also experience where we feel that yes, it would be nice, it would be great, but at the end of the day, it could fall out.
Yeah.
And when that happens, the ripple effect is, you can imagine it. The ripple effect. You fight from home,
Yeah.
from during the weekend, you come to work, you tell your friends or colleagues, and you're having a meeting, and you
Yeah.
see, and you're like, what's happening? And you're like, what's
Wow.
happening?
Yeah.
You bring it from the hangar, you bring it to work, and you start shouting.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. And as such, it's something that organizations want to avoid. Really, it's not what we bargained for. We are come and work, do the work, let's go home, sort it out
Yeah.
at home. It's something really we can't control
Yeah.
when it happens. Also, look at the other side of it. Eventually, it didn't work out. Both
Yeah.
of you in the same team. How do you want to continue that
Yeah.
type of job, really?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the emotions of it now, yes, falling out. Now you now want to come to the office the following day like nothing has happened, or the relationship you've had in the past 2 3 years, and you see yourself from the stair case at the
Yeah.
reception area. You are even close to each other, sitting close to each other. You are supposed to support each other in the team to
Yeah.
make the work. No, no. There's a lot to it than what a lot of employees envisage. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Let's go on to HR and people management. The I've listened to a few HR podcasts in trying to prep for this. I've read a few comments by HR people as well in trying to respond to the way in which people tend to describe um, HR as a profession and HR personnel in workplaces. And there are claims across board that it's one of the hardest jobs in the world. So I wanted to get your assessment of it. Do you really find it that HR is an impossible job to do? Is it too hard to be able to find what everybody can quantify as objective success?
Um, I read somewhere
Yeah.
recently where the person said that the best part of the HR job is the people, and
Okay.
the worst part of it is also the people.
We are the best
Yeah,
and the worst
so
at the same time.
exactly. The happy times is these people that, yes, they are making you
Yeah.
have that fun time. The time that is so much of a stress that you just feel that, what is this? They are also the
The
same
same people.
people, set of people that
Yeah.
caused it. So I would say it's a unique one. And it's because HR management, this HR profession, it extends beyond the core work that we do.
Okay.
As professionals, we are at the center of the organization, meaning that everything just works around us. And as such, we try as much as possible to put it all together. We just want it to work.
Okay.
And in trying to ensure that it works, we wear different hats. There are
Okay.
times that, and this are just some responsibilities that does not even sit with us, but we are taking it up.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are the therapists, like, yeah, we are the therapists.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are the well-being evangelists. We need to tell you that you need to be physically and mentally fit. We are some negotiators. When things are going wrong, they are like, go and meet
Yeah.
HR. They will they will know how to sort it out. So these are different arts that just come into play, and we need to wear it.
Yeah.
But one thing that I know that is really relevant for this job is having some level of emotional intelligence. It's quite,
Okay.
yes, relevant to excel in this role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do HR personnel do? And I'm asking this purely out of curiosity because from the outside, what we see HR personnel do, they you only meet them when they are hiring you and they are firing you, or when you are being onboarded and when you are leaving. In between, we barely have any interactions with HR, or maybe when we are applying for leave and you have to make sure that HR is in the known and your manager approves it. But in between, we don't see anything that HR does. A friend or a colleague of mine, a current colleague of mine, literally said, "Oh, the easiest job in the world is HR. Just hire and fire people and sit in between and rest." And
That's it.
genuinely, I'm wondering, when you talk about HR as a department in a typical organization, what different facets of the HR job are there? What different hats do people wear? I mean, you've told me about a bit of them, but are there clear demarcations of subdivisions within HR that people do? And what does a day to day look like for an HR professional?
Yeah. So the claim of the guy that says that it doesn't see what HR does is valid. That's
Yeah,
the experience person has.
yeah,
But yeah, so let me just put some insight into how it is, and I will use the journey of an
okay,
employee in an organization to also explain.
okay,
So say you're looking at a small organization that you have just one singular HR that
yeah,
the person wear the hat does everything,
okay,
all of the tasks or responsibilities I'll be mentioning. So
yeah,
from being the recruiter to being the one that would onboard to being the one that will be the business partner to the business
yeah,
to be the one that would be the L&D specialist to
yeah,
payroll to be the compensation and benefit specialist, works on data, try to be a data guru, and
oh,
yes, also have understanding of labor laws so that company is compliant and all. That's about if an individual is doing all of that. So
yeah,
they are able to pick a bit of everything and just make it work for an organization.
interesting.
But there is also the part of a large corporate, say a global large corporate organization. How does it work?
Yeah,
So yeah, let's say the first point of contact is a talent acquisition specialist. They're also called the recruiters. They're the
Okay.
ones you first meet, you engage them. They definitely will be there to tell you about the company, about the role that you're taking up. Yes, and definitely also schedule you for interviews, hear about your expectations as well. If you have any concern, they are also working around it. Any questions about the company, you are free to ask them. They also would now maybe introduce you to some other team members that may be interviewing you for the role. And
Yeah.
yes, so let's say everything goes well, you get an offer. You get the offer, you accept the offer, the negotiation is done. In some big organizations, you move into another, you now engage with another HR person, say an operations specialist. They're also
Yeah.
called HR advisors. What do they
Okay.
do? They are the ones that are picking it up from the time that you've accepted the offer to now trying to get documentations in place. It
Okay.
also depends on the countries. There are some
Yeah.
places that pre-boarding documentation is heavy, and as
Yeah.
such, they do all of that. If it requires some background checks, they do ensure
Yeah.
that you carry out the background checks before you sign the contract. They are there with you to go through the contract with you. You have questions, and or yes, you sign the contract. They're also there for you to prepare you for day one. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's about who, yes, your day one. This is how it would look like. This is the person you'll be meet. This is where the office is. This is the time you need to get there. Some information around maybe day one alone, maybe your first 3 or 7 days. So
Yeah.
they are just there for you to prepare you well before your first day. So
Yeah.
your first day comes and you come to the office. When you get to the office, you likely may be meeting with them depending on how the team is structured. So they are the ones that could also set your work tools up for you, do the office tour. When you do the office tour with you, introduce you to the rest of the team, maybe having lunch with some members of the team. They plan all of that as well.
Yeah.
There are some organizations that you could have a workplace team doing that part. But yeah, it could be an HR advisor taking up that responsibility. From your first day at work, you'll be engaging with another HR that you'll be seeing almost every day of your life in that workspace. And they
Yeah.
are the people partners. So
Okay.
what they do, they are like the local experts. They
Yeah.
understand the labor law and they are bringing it into the workplace to ensure that whatever it is that the organization does, they're compliant with it. Whatever
Okay.
initiative at all, we're looking back to what the law says before we say we are putting it in place. They are the ones that will guide you as to how maybe performance should go locally, performance management, probation should go locally. When can you be successful for probation? Your performance as well. What is
Yeah.
it around reward? What is it around training? Because even there are some countries that there are mandatory trainings that you need to take. So
Yeah.
you see the people partners do that.
Okay.
In large organizations as well, you could have a business partner. A business partner. So take a manufacturing company, for example, a manufacturing company that has different lines of business. So you
Oh.
have the house line of business, you have the baby product, you have
Yeah.
the detergent, you have all of that. You have a team lead or a business lead for those line of business. There's
Okay.
also a business partner that works closely with those heads to
Okay.
align on business goals and come up with definitely at HR agendas to the local team to
Yeah.
just make things work. So there's the business partner as well. So let's move from the HR business partner or people partner that is there every
Yeah.
day of your work life in the organization, and they
Yeah.
work closely with the business. Yes, they understand the strategies. They see how the initiatives of HR definitely work in alignment with what the business goals are. You
Yeah.
have the compensation and benefit specialist. They
Yeah.
are the ones that define compensation structure. So there are some people that are doing the salary that they are coming up with the salary you are earning.
Yeah.
So these people are the ones that would define compensation structure for the organization. Is it about how do we pay in the market? Do we want to be the best paying company out there amongst our competitors? Are we saying that even outside the salary, we want to give some benefits out. And when you're trying to identify the benefits you can give, you're also checking the needs of the people, maybe in country, to see the type of benefits that, yes, that would they would appreciate. Say a country where rent payment is an
Yeah.
issue, yeah, or even payment, educational funding for maybe children could be an issue. It
Yeah.
could be some big economic issues that they try to tackle. So
Yeah.
yes, they come up with those policies around the type of benefits we want to give,
Okay.
and say perks, office perks as well. So they design all of that. They
Wow.
also do not stop there. They go back into the market at every point in time to check if they are still competitive. What are other companies doing? How
Okay.
can we even improve it? What is happening in the market? So we have that. We move to payroll. Payroll just does not credit your account, pam, and you have. They need to have an understanding of legislations.
Yeah.
And so there are things around taxes, the
Okay.
social security.
Yeah.
Yes, mandatory insurance that need
Yeah.
to be deducted, but they need to understand it. They need to know how to deduct. Is it pensions and
Yeah.
all? There are also sort of maybe deadlines to it. Like you shouldn't miss the due date,
Yeah.
and they need to be compliant. Ensure that funds are available to do all of this. So we have payroll. They do that. There's also another team member that is called a talent management specialist. These are the
Okay.
people that really could be maybe in HQ of
Yeah.
organizations, but what their mandate is about ensuring that you're able to optimize the potential of the talent that comes into. So the person has come. How can we get the best out of it? Ensure that this person even is able to meet his or career goals as well,
Okay.
whilst meeting the business objective. So
Yeah.
you see them come up with programs around employee engagement. How do we feel the pulse of the organization? How do we get that feedback and work around it? Which tools would we be using for that? They
Okay.
also move ahead to, they extend their job to designing performance management system. How do we do it? What software are we using for this? What's the frequency? Do we want to do it annually? Do we want, and also definitely backing it up with insight as to why they should do or accept
Yeah.
this type of uh, process. So they do the performance management. There's the learning and development part of it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not just not
Wow.
just the skills that you've brought since you joined that will take you all
Yeah.
through. They are that will design. Do we want to have an internal learning and development software for learning for the whole organization? Do we want
Yeah.
to partner with maybe some training providers so that employees can learn from them? Is it some coaching needs that we may have? How do we address it? So they do all of that. I think that's about it for talent management specialists. We could also have an employment law advisor. They are rare internally because people
Yeah.
partners take up some of the responsibilities of understanding the labor law.
Okay.
But yeah, they're also there to protect and ensure that the company is compliant in what they do, in the
Yeah.
contracts that they give and all. So basically, in a nutshell, we have the talent acquisition, we have the people operations or
Yeah.
people advisor, we have the people partner or HR partner, we have the business partner, we have compensation and benefits, we have payroll, we have talent management, and we could also have employment law lawyer internally. So yeah.
That's HR can be a company on its own. This should. This should. Wow. Okay. Now it makes sense because, for instance, for the organization I work for, there's an entire building for HR, and I always wonder why is
Wonder
HR
what's happening there.
why is HR camped up in a building of their own? Why is it like
Mhm.
they have this humongous things going on with loads of files moving around. And I'm wondering,
And
of the team is,
yeah, it just you're not feeling it. You don't
yeah,
even know. Yeah.
it's shrouded in some form of seriousness and secrecy that you can't really tell what's happening on the back end of it. So to get this understanding of really the demarcations of HR jobs, interesting.
Yeah.
A question that popped up when you explained is, how frequent do, especially for the ones that are not continuous work? So, for instance, recruitment, which maybe happens as and when the company wants to either replace someone or expand the team. Knowing that it's not frequent, do they supplement in other roles as in when they are not really busy in their specialized areas?
So I will say that they are constantly busy. It also depends on organizations. They are
Okay.
constantly busy, especially an organization that maybe experiencing growth,
Yeah.
even startups at times. That yes, at every point in time, you're bringing in one or few individuals joining the team. So you will see them very busy. So, but let's say a typical organization, you have new hires coming in. There are times that you could have some people resign, there's a replacement,
Yeah.
there are expansions going on. Yes, you're expanding into a new team, you're looking for a different talent entirely from what you have before. There's some sort of, yes, back end work they need to do
Yeah.
to ensure that they get the right talent. Yes. And there are times that they even just go into the market to identify what is there, more or less like
Okay.
research. What if tomorrow we need a COO? Let's
Yeah.
even check if we have the
Oh,
pool.
okay.
Also, they create that pool
Okay.
and they engage candidates to say this may come up. When it comes up, we'll come back to you. And
Okay.
so they make that more or less like their pool, they make it warm. So they engage at every point in time. There's
Okay.
also the part of working with employer branding. You want to make the organization attractive.
Yeah.
There are some they're part of the people that would work because they know what the type of feedback they are getting from candidates and they know what they want. So you want to project your company as the best place to work. And I saw there's a lot that goes into even employer branding alone. So they are always busy. I
Yeah.
tell you that.
Wow. There's this question I wanted to ask, slightly unrelated to what we are speaking about, but I don't know, for I feel the same. I'm sure the generation before me feel the same, but every generation feel that the subsequent generation is lazier than they were. I don't know where this feeling comes from. So, for instance, if I speak to my uncles or people, friends that I have
Mhm.
who are older, they say, well, this generation of young people are lazier. When I speak to my friends, we feel, oh, this generation of high school students are lazy. High school students speak to each other and say, well, this generation of primary school students are lazy. And everybody tends to feel that their generation works harder. Funny enough,
Mhm.
we are also the same people who feel invalidated by whoever is telling us that we are not working harder, but we still do it to the other people anyway. So I have a friend who constantly gets angry anytime an older person says, work harder. And he's like, I'm working hard. What do you think I'm doing? But but then he also goes around and says, well, these guys are not working harder. They should do better. Where do you think that generational difference comes from, and why we subsequently feel that people beneath us are not working as hard as we do?
I think technology has just so it's been progressive.
Okay.
The way we leverage technology in a way has made things easier.
Okay.
And yes, we could not align it with maybe being lazier.
Oh,
Because if you look at, yes, earlier generations like you, older generations like you mentioned, when there was no technology in place, they were more or less like manually doing it. Like you
yeah.
need that energy and brawn to just make things work. And as such, with the advent of technology and the improvement, so you could say that, say maybe baby boomers to Generation X and millennials to what we have now, you could say that there has been some
Yeah.
progressive with even leveraging technology, and it's becoming easier by the day. Take, for
Yeah.
example, olden days, those our uncles, let's say they're in a meeting and they need to take the minutes of the meeting. You know what?
Yeah.
You bring a biro, a pen, and a paper you're writing. You are so attentive that you don't want to miss any hint. Because someone
Yeah.
can come to you that say, you missed my point. And they are taking it very attentive. They still
Yeah.
need to participate in that meeting. And they take
Yeah.
all of those meetings like that. It is so stressful that they need to ensure that the minute of the meeting is out before the next meeting. But
Yeah.
it's just so much.
Yeah.
But now, AI has made it so easy that we are all in the meeting and we are clicking,
Yeah.
and it's sending the meeting.
Yeah.
And it is sending, you can imagine their experience to what it
Yeah.
is right now. So you claim that you're working harder. How? Do you understand? So it's about, yes, it's about that impact that technology has brought. It has
Yeah.
made things easier than it has been before. Do we want to talk about a job application? Go and ask your uncle.
Walking around and submitting CVs physically in offices.
Tell you, I tell you.
Yeah.
And now you're just on your phone, you're doing and you're applying, you are sending, they are calling you for interview, and you go to him and say that you are busy or your work is hard. They cannot relate.
Yeah.
They can't.
Interesting. That's true though. That's very
Mm.
true because I mean when I was growing up, every movie I watched had people in white shirt with a tie and a trouser with a brown envelope beneath their armpit walking around and roaming, searching for jobs.
Hell,
Now all those
yeah,
scenes are no more because that's not the reality of the world anymore.
exactly.
Wow,
Exactly.
interesting. I think also the argument that the younger ones tend to make is well, maybe we are not doing the things that you used to do manually, but now we are being forced to focus on other things, which, because it's something that you never had to do, you also can't relate to how difficult that is. So,
That is.
for, and I think one of the most difficult ones to even try and explain is thinking. The modern world, there are so many tools to do things that a lot of the task on an employer is really to think of how to do it and what to do rather than the manual labor of executing it itself. So sometimes maybe exploring what formulas will be best to execute an automation as opposed to you manually cleaning up that data. And the older generation says, well, think, what do you mean thinking? Thinking is not work. It's something you are born with. You do it every day. Why should you be paid to sit in an office to think and then when you are done, click on a few buttons and automate your workflow? When they had to sit and physically be exhausted as every day came to an end.
Yeah. I think you would see the older generations accept that there are better ways of doing things. So
Yeah,
it's not about how long you spend in
yeah,
achieving an objective. It's how easy, how efficient it is. But it
yeah,
also requires some sort of homework to be done.
yeah,
More like, yes, you need to upskill yourself to be able to understand what will be
yeah,
required to make that job efficient.
yeah,
And yes, that's what is happening in this generation. But the ones that refuse to, they are left behind
yeah,
because it's progressive.
yeah,
We know that it was hard during the time, but we are saying that now it is easier, but we still need to use our brain to
yeah,
catch up and
yeah,
ensure that yes, we,
yeah,
so if we see the ones that find it difficult to move with the trend, they're left behind. So
yeah,
you also see other generations trying to catch up with technology, trying to catch up with AI, trying to just catch up with on what is happening
yeah,
at any point in time, just to ensure that it's hard. It was hard before. There is a easy way out of it, but I still need to have some catch up to be able to work seamlessly around it. Yeah.
okay. Well, let's come to how much people trust HR. You work in people management, you have friends, some friends in the organization, some friends outside of the organization. Do you feel that your friends, especially those within the organization, find it awkward speaking to you just because they know you are within the HR space?
Um, they don't find it awkward. So let me give some insight to it.
Okay.
And it also still boils down to trust, that
Okay.
which is an issue right now.
Yeah.
But you need to create and earn that trust. I know that some months back, I read an article in Forbes that talked
Okay.
about the credibility crisis
Yeah.
in HR,
Yeah.
and also that trust issue. They've got some statistics to back it up to say
Yeah.
the respondents says that maybe like around 70% says
Yeah.
that they don't trust HR. Respondents could be the business, could be the employees, could be.
Yeah.
And yes, Forbes pointed out that the impact in organizations definitely will be around engagement level will be low, productivity would not be there, there will be high turnover and all.
Yeah.
But it's something that, yes, we need to be deliberate about because in HR as a professional, that's the only thing that we have.
Okay.
That's the relevance that we have, earning
Yeah.
that trust.
Yeah.
If you are in a place where people don't trust you, you're not supposed to be there.
Okay.
And how do you earn the trust? How do you earn the trust? Even from the business side, business has brought you in to say that, yes, join this organization. If we want some improvement in our bottom line, I want to achieve it through people. First is try as much as possible, understand what the business stands for and what their goals are. Come up with initiatives, HR initiatives that would have an outcome of what the business wants.
Yeah.
In doing all of this, you are engaging the team because that's key. You
Yeah.
need to be able to speak to every member of the team, not directly. There are tools to do that. Do you
Yeah.
understand? But you need, yes, that opportunity for people to be open. And but when they are open and they give feedback or consent about the state of the affairs that you've met, the
Yeah.
question is, what do you do about it?
Yeah.
Are you responding? Are you acting on it? What communication are you giving?
Okay.
More like we've heard you talk. We know that this is a challenge now. This is what we are doing about it. You are
Okay.
putting timelines to how things will be done.
Yeah.
You first have an organization or a space or a culture where people are free to air their consent and they
Okay.
believe that it will be looked into, it will
Yeah.
be attended to, and definitely they will see the outcome. So
Yeah.
until every professional gets to that stage where there's transparency, I
Yeah.
say, where there's transparency, you will not need to be concerned if they trust you or not. You know that you have earned that trust. So it's
Okay.
about engagement, it's about constant communication, and it's about also seeing that people are free to come to you. They are not, yes, pulling themselves back to say, I don't think. There are times that you may have a bad experience in another organization, but you come to some organizations that I tell you is a
Yeah.
fantastic one with regards to, yes, the environment they have between HR and the rest of the team.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I, like you said, trust is probably the biggest thing for HR, especially if you're a mediator between two parties. You sort of, and I get that sometimes it might be difficult to do to establish trust to the degree that both parties are comfortable. Because a lot of the time, there's the notion from the employee side that HR is in the pockets of the employer because they pay them. Then sometimes from the employer side, they were like, HR is being too difficult because they want to look good in the eyes of the employees and they want
Mhm.
to be the employee favorite. And you sort of find yourself in between where you are trying to be the person who looks out for the best interest of the organization, which includes both parties, but both parties feel that you are being partial in the way in which you are exhibiting your duties. Do you come across situations where you feel alone your in your attempt to try and resolve situations in the best interest of everyone, but then every other person in the room feels like you are picking a side
Feels
you are not picking?
so. I would say it's a challenge. Like you said, we are in between.
Yeah.
But yes, you need to understand that employers, they have their needs, and they've
Okay.
put it to you to say these are our goals. Employees, they also have their needs. You have the needs of both. Your
Okay.
responsibility is to work something out, and what you're working out is designing some sort of, say, people initiatives to go to the business to say, yeah, is it 20% revenue increase that we want to make? No problem. It's achievable through these initiatives. We'll, we'll tackle maybe employee welfare. We need to tackle head count. Maybe the ones that are on ground are a bit
Yeah.
burdened. Employees are saying that the work is not flexible enough. I know, yes. So this is more or less like the mindset you're coming from.
Okay.
You're taking the needs of the employees, you're coming up with an initiative to achieve the objective of the business.
Yeah.
So both ways, you are meeting the needs of both parties.
Yeah.
So you're going back to the employees to say, no problem. You say you want this. Yes, let's look into it.
Okay.
Not every time you'll be able to achieve the needs of
Yeah.
either party, but there are some low hanging fruits. When you get it done, they trust you.
Okay.
Do you understand? They trust you. As much as business know you are on my side, employees to some extent should know that yes,
On their
he's
side.
on my side.
Yeah.
Yes. Not everything will be achieved, like I said. You come back to say, yes, you've asked for 100 things. But now, let me tell you, this year, we should be able to achieve 70.
Okay.
And I'm putting timelines to how we'll achieve that 70.
Okay.
And I'm coming back if something is shifting to say, this is the reason why this is shifting. Or, yes, checked, we've done this, checked, we've done.
Okay.
You are earning the trust on that, on employee side. And you're also earning the trust on the other side because you are now able to improve the engagement of the team members to meet the business objectives. So there won't be that sentiment of, no, she's with party A or she's on this side and she's not
Yeah.
on this side. Need to be able to manage both. So when they see you, if you're in the company of the business, they say, yeah, this is my person. When you're in the company of the employees, they say, yes, madam, he's here.
Yeah. I think that specialty is also what makes people feel like they can't trust HR because they're like, HR is maybe on my side a bit, but I also know that they're on the side of the business. So how am I sure that what I'm asking, if the business opposes a little bit, they won't pick business's side over my side? But I think from what you said, what I am getting as the biggest burden of HR professionals is also to be creative, to come up with ways to marry both interests. Because sometimes the way we view things as employees, and I don't know, I've come across this several times in work, is there's a decision that has to be made, and you realize that you are caught in this, I don't know how to put it, like this structured way or pre existing way of making that decision. And then for a moment, you snap out of it and realize, why was I caught in this? Like, there are so many possibilities of resolving this without having to compromise on any of the benefits for either side. So I think
Mhm.
one of the things I'm getting is HR professionals being the people who are able to step back from pre existing systems and say, if I can't achieve the happiness of these two parties within the current system, how do I redesign the system to ensure that both parties are satisfied to a degree that helps? Because
Yeah.
usually employees or even businesses, both parties face the situation of saying, this is how the system works, there's nothing we can do about it. And I think probably that's one of the things that gradually sows mistrust because they feel you defer to the inefficiencies of the system or the impossibilities within the current system as opposed to do something different to try and get their interests resolved.
So I would also say that businesses are not, or leadership, they are not perfect.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So we see that inefficiency from their hand, and we are able to support them.
Okay.
What would it require? Yes. Say a manager. They are humans as well, and they are not perfect. But when you've identified that inefficiency, you need to create a support
Okay.
structure to help to be
Okay.
better leaders. So
Yeah.
though that they have their needs are more strategic.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And their needs are the ones that we know that is somehow achievable.
Okay.
And so it comes with engaging, it comes with, if it requires coaching, if it requires upskilling, we support them with it. But we also need to be candid.
Yeah.
It's not every time that they bring requests to us that we say
Yeah.
yes. We are candid at times,
I
most
think that's the
every
one
time to say
employees don't want to hear.
we will say that no, this is not possible at this time. No,
Yeah.
we cannot take this route. Or we are gatekeepers. So we can even say, no, this is not allowable or it's not allowed in country. Per legislation, you can't do this.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So we do all of that. And
Okay.
when you hand the trust, they believe in you. And you're coming with other options as to address those situations. But
Okay.
yeah, the mindset is not about, yeah, we're always on the side of, it shouldn't be. I think it's also the level of maybe the mindset or the culture of some organizations that could make
Yeah.
them think that way. But most of the time, we try to ensure that we balance um, the needs, yes, and
Okay.
expectations.
This next question is for people who are applying for jobs currently. There's a feeling that there's so much unemployment in the world because every now and then there are roles popping up on various job platforms that this company needs this company needs that. But there are a lot more people who also feel that they're not being employed either way. Like they go through an application process, they take maybe an interview or two, get rejected, and next week the role is up again. And we are trying to wonder what's wrong, what's happening with the employment space, because it feels like there's unemployment, there is a demand, but the demand seems not to be met by the pool of talent that's out there. So, do you find this assessment objective enough to reflect what's happening? And how should potential employees try and position themselves to break through this? Because I find a lot of friends who are applying for jobs and they are like, bro, I keep applying, I get rejected, and 2 weeks later, the role is up again.
Yes, so the concerns are valid, and also your statement around the fact that yes, there's an unemployment in the global market is
Yeah,
also valid because that's why you see those job ads out. But the question is, those adverts that are out, the intention is to fill the role
yeah,
and based on the demand that we have, based on the candidates, the pool of candidates that we have. But the challenge is that most of the time, the quality of the candidates we have does not fulfill the needs of the business.
okay,
Do you understand? So application is out. You see the job out. Sorry, the job ad is out. You apply for it. They say you're not qualified, or they just tell you we are sorry, we will not be going. And 2 months after, or 2 weeks after, the job ad is out. What has
yeah,
happened is that you have a pool of candidates. You are part of the thousands that were being reviewed. You've
yeah.
been told that no, you're not successful. But it's taken maybe 2 months to go through the
Oh,
pipeline and still they could not find what they want. They are back
wow,
out there because until it's filled, if it's not
that
filled
job
up,
is
we
not done.
continue to search.
Yeah,
We continue to search. So the question for applicants is if that job ad is out again, it means that it gives me an opportunity to assess myself. What did I
okay,
put out the first time? What can I amend? How can I improve to
okay,
ensure that I get, yes, an invite to that interview to
yeah,
just engage with a team member? But something is so sure that role, that company needs that a talent.
yeah,
Use 2 3 months to source, do interviews, but could not find. So they are back in the job market.
Wow. Is AI
Yeah.
playing a role in any of this? Because there is the chat around AI being used to screen CVs and using preset tags or terms or keywords that if they are not found in specific CVs or applications, by default, they are rejected even before the human screening starts. How is AI influencing all of this? And how should employees who are applying for jobs try and amend the way in which they interact with job applications? Because I know that jobs are recruiting with AI tools. I don't know what those tools are. I don't know what those tools are looking for. So I don't even know how to structure my CV to try and meet the demands of this new system.
Yes. So AI is out there to recruiters are leveraging AI.
Okay.
Applicants too are
Yeah.
leveraging AI. So say businesses, they want to be smarter with hiring. The cost of
Yeah.
hiring is high relatively to different companies, but
Okay.
the amount of money spent or resources spent in hiring a candidate is so much that everyone is looking for a way to be more efficient. And
Yeah.
AI is doing that. AI now, say in the hiring process, could help. So you have a job description. AI
Yeah.
is helping recruiters to be able to refine that job description to make more sense. Like be able to say what exactly that you want, the type of person that you want. You
Okay.
are put it there. What you have will be vague, really. AI has done that. So it's also you need to know that there are some tags, like you said, there are some very relevant skills that may be
Yeah.
required that is in the JD, that is in the application. There are some things that specific things that the business needs. It's in that job application. AI
Okay.
could have helped to
Okay.
get that done. So they are out there and they've posted the job.
Yeah.
There is also the part of how can AI support even the interviewers,
Yeah.
the hiring managers, so that they hire right? They're making it aids in ensuring that you ask the right questions.
Yeah.
So you have the CV of an applicant and the hiring manager is to go through it and ask questions based on it. AI helps to give insights into those questions you can ask that are relevant to the role that you want to fill. You know,
Okay.
AI has done its part for the business. Same AI is now coming to support the applicant.
Yeah.
What is expected of AI now is to ensure that the advice you have given to the employer to say these are the relevant things that you should look out for should
Yeah.
come to the applicant to say, put those relevant things into your CV. Or
Yeah.
if you do not put it, forget about it.
Okay.
So applicants can also leverage AI to know what is important to
Oh.
them. So when you're able to leverage to say that, yes, this is a job description, what are the things that I feel? And you can use AI in different ways to achieve the result you want. What are the things that I need to put in my CV or in my profile that would attract, that would give me, um, like lead me to get an invitation
Yeah.
for interview at least put
Okay.
me up, they land me an invite for
Yeah.
interview. What are the things that I need to put there? What are the things that I'm looking out for based on this application or on this advert that I've seen? What
Yeah.
should be, what are the important things that need to be in my CV, in my profile, in my cover letter? Those are the questions that AI would answer for you.
Yeah.
So AI is matching the suggestions they are giving to them, coming back
Yeah.
to you to give you more like, yeah, this is what you
Yeah.
should put. So yes, you can it can lead you can get an invite for interview. It does that, and you get to that stage where you are even invited for the interview. And what is left is for you to prove yourself that yes, you can do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But AI can help to ensure that yes, you match what the needs of the organizations have.
Interesting.
So Yeah, there are times that you don't even get that invite, but you
Yeah.
know that, like I said, it's a global market. Thousands of people are applying for just one singular role.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah.
So people are tweaking and retweaking, tweaking and retweaking to ensure that yes, they land that interview. So it's
Yeah.
a non-stop, yes, it's a
Competition.
non-stop, yes, engagement or a non-stop activity that you
Yeah.
just continue to do. You need to improve on yourself. You need to tweak and retweak
Yeah.
until yes, you land that job that you want.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Aptitude tests. I've seen a few jobs try and recruit with aptitude tests. And sometimes the test that they are conducting has nothing to do with the role that they want to recruit for. Like somebody wants to recruit for a teacher and they're asking you some random hypothetical scenarios and trying to know what decisions you would make if you had 7 oranges with 3 apples and you find yourself in a situation. And a lot of us are asking, when I fail this aptitude test that from the surface of it has nothing to do with my qualification, I sometimes even get denied from moving on to apply and complete that application for the job. So why are aptitude tests important for recruitment, and what are they even used to test in an applicant?
So yes, so I would say it differs. It depends on the type of job. Say an experienced person, you have experience in the workplace. There are typical workplace issues that happen in your course of work, or typical problems that happen in the organization that you're going to. That's what they will use to set up the test. So the
Okay.
aptitude tests are different and also depends on what they want to get from it. Do you understand? So there is a part of real life work problems happening in my organization. When you come in, more or less like this is what you face. We want to assess what your thought process is. What would you do? How would you take it up? What's like next steps? And what will be the eventual outcome?
Okay.
There is that one. There is the technical part that is not like a case study of what is happening in an
Yeah.
organization. And organizations know why they are putting it there. It might just be a skill that they are looking for that
Okay.
will require still that thought process. Like it could look
Oh,
not making sense, but out of not making sense, how do you make sense out of it? So to
okay.
you, it just looks strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people would answer the question.
Wow.
Do you understand? Some
Yeah.
people would answer as much as it seems like just does not make sense. Some people will make sense out of what is not making sense, and it
Yeah.
might be the skill that they actually need.
But I think the struggle that sometimes we have, and even I personally have with aptitude tests, is there really an objectively right answer to some of these scenarios? Like, I'm not sure if I remember exactly what the question was, but it was one about a situation whether or not you would report to your manager or you would speak to the client directly, or at what
Mhm.
point you decide to revert to your manager on the situation. And sometimes I have a feeling if it's real life, there are so many minute factors that would go into what decision you take at that specific point in time. Given that those very minute factors are not present in that scenario, it's difficult to make an objectively right or wrong or even appropriate decision. And so you find yourself in there, there's an expected answer from the employer in terms of what they want you to say. You, the employee, trying to be smart, feel like, well, I can't really decide. I need more information. You're like, decide based on the information you have. And you make a decision and they go, boom, you're wrong. I'm like, I told you I didn't have enough information. You forced me to decide, and now you are saying I'm wrong. But especially knowing that some of these situations in real life are on a case by case basis and might differ from situation to situation, are aptitude tests even fair as a system to try and evaluate applicants?
So I would say that I am not sure that most of the time the the answer needs to be right or wrong.
Okay.
It doesn't have, don't think that the answer needs to be right or wrong.
Okay.
Because like you said, you don't have all the facts that would make yes a concrete to say
Yeah.
this is what it should be. And that's how real life situations are. Most of the time, we don't have everything that we need to use to work to deliver results.
Oh,
We just work
okay.
with what we have.
What you have.
And so
Okay.
that's the mindset, that is the mindset they want to see.
Okay.
To
I
say,
see.
yes, based on these few things that I have, I could have achieved more if I have these resources, but no, I don't have it. With this is what I can achieve. This is the potential I could have achieved if I had more. So you're
Oh,
given different scenarios, and that's where they are picking your thought process from. Because when you get to that job, is not the one that you impute something and gives you the result. It's
yeah.
something, situations that you
What
don't
are
plan
thrown at
for.
you? Yeah.
You're deep inside the ocean and they want you to survive.
Wow.
And this is
Okay.
mindset. This is mindset that you need. The thought
Okay.
process that will make you excel. So most of the time, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about what are
Interesting.
you thinking? What exactly? What are you thinking? What's your thought process? What are the challenges that you've identified?
Yeah.
How do you want to tackle it? Even when you do not have everything that you require to succeed, what are the things that you're doing to just
Yeah.
amend, adjust, and yes, make some meaningful outcome with what you have. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. That's really good insight.
Hmm.
Because it makes perfect sense. It's very quick for me to, as an individual, say, that scenario doesn't have all the details, without realizing that there are actual situations that you deal with in everyday professional life that you don't have all the details anyway, and you still have to make a decision and move on and find a solution around it. Quite
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, let's come to the salaries discussion. This point is how I'm intrigued, really. I don't know how a talent is valued, right? How do HR or recruiters go about valuing a specific talent? Because there are a lot of times where people are recruited into the same roles but might end up having different compensation structures, even though maybe they have the same expectations on the job or the same job descriptions. And the concern that a lot of employees tend to have is, well, we have the same job description, we sit in the same cubicles, we do the same job, we report to the same manager, we have the same, in fact, sometimes I probably even do some more heavy lifting than this other person. Why, how on earth did HR end up evaluating him as a more valuable talent than me? So, how do HRs go around valuing talents from the market and then determining,
Yeah.
knowing very well that there are salary ranges, determining which end of the range they place specific candidates?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So salaries, yeah, it's
Yeah,
usually like a sensitive one out there. You mention salary and people. So let me come from the concept of how you derive or you assess a role,
yeah,
and you now decide how much is paid for that role.
okay,
So so there are some things that will be done by, say, the compensation and benefits team that mentioned,
okay,
which is yes, they're specialized in that.
yeah,
They assess, so a company says, I want to get a job done,
yeah,
and HR specialist, or yes, HR professional is saying that before you get this job, okay, or the business also says, I to do this job, I think I need someone that has these technical abilities.
okay,
Person has the skills. This person has worked on this thing for a minimum of, say, some years.
okay,
And I also think that this person should have this type of attitude, maybe as some sort of network as well.
yeah,
The business just comes up with, yes, I think this person should have all of this to be able to do this job. So
yeah,
what HR does is assess all the things, that the qualities and the competencies that would be able to achieve that job. And also, so they assess the job and come up with, say, a title.
yeah,
So yeah, this job title, project manager, this person must be able to do this, this, this. must have this number of years of experience doing this. These are
Yeah.
the technical abilities that are required and all of that. When that is now done, the next is around what should be paid. What
Okay.
should be paid is also um, is based on where that job is. Say the job is located in Kenya or the job is located in Cairo, Egypt, or something. They also look at what's like the cost of living
Yeah.
in that space. What's like the minimum wage legislation in that space? What uh what can we afford as a company also matters really. And what are some other competitors or people in the industry? What do they pay? Eventually, you get to the value for that role.
Yeah.
And so that this is how much we want to pay. When you have that amount you want to pay, you bring it internally to say this is salary of the project manager. But
Okay.
you're also breaking it down into those bands, which is the salary range right now. So you
Yeah.
have the minimum, you have the mid, you have the max. Some
Okay.
organizations can just have the mid and the max. So you're saying that yes, although we've said this is salary of a project manager, we're also saying that the level of efficiency is different from
Oh,
all project managers. They are
okay.
not, the turnaround time for doing a job is not the
The
same.
same. Yeah.
Some project managers they're just getting into that role. They're
Yeah.
still learning, need supervision. And as such, that is different from a project manager that's been on the job for say 2-3 years, that does
Yeah.
not require some level of supervision, can work independently.
Yeah.
Or on the math side, this one has been there, a guru, an expert. Like when he
Yeah.
sleeps like this, he still gets things done, even in his dream. So it means that they are all project managers, but the level in which they operate is what is different. And
Oh,
so
okay.
that's what this, yes, that is what now defines where you can be within the um, salary band. Yeah,
Oh, okay. 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 So we could both be doing the same job, but one person's efficiency is more than the other. So that person tends to be at the higher end of the salary range than the other person.
exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
Exactly. There
Why
are
do you?
also
Oh, go
There's
ahead.
also a situation where let's assume that everybody comes into, so maybe straight from entry level, straight
Yeah.
from school, straight from training school, all of you come into the job. It's
Yeah.
expected to be the same for everybody because
Yeah.
yeah, it's we're all learning and you get into the job. But as time goes on, performance differs,
Yeah.
efficiency differs. So
Difference. Yeah.
with time, there will be performance review, and you see some A players, you see some average, and you see some still catching up.
Yeah.
That also defines what you're earning going forward.
Oh, okay. 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 Wow. I said this at the start when I was doing the intro that employees usually tend to feel that managers are overpaid, that managers get all the huge money, but come and instruct them to do a lot of the heavy lifting around the place. And then managers get get a report, and then go and say, yeah, my team achieved ABC, but the team was the one doing a lot of the stress, and then the managers get paid more. And the question is it a system that is meant to repay the long years of hard work of managers before they became managers? Or is it actually that there's a lot that goes into being a manager that employees don't see that requires the manager to be compensated higher to match up the kind of duties that they have? And I think one of the answers I've come across in listening to several podcasts has been that the reason why employers tend to pay managers higher is that maybe you and the manager probably on a day to day will be doing the same things. Maybe you probably even execute your basic job better because maybe now you are much more conversant with maybe tools, modern tools of automation and all that, but your manager has a wealth of experience of navigating through good and bad times, that when the bad times come, your bosses can call on that manager to weather the storm. But when the bad times come, when they call on you, you might not know how to navigate that storm, let alone weather it. So is it also more like retaining them, knowing their capacity to deal with very, very dark days of a corporation, that you need them to be able to get through those storms.
Yes, I think you've answered all the questions. Managers do not just spring up. Don't forget that they've passed through that stage that you
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
Yes, organizations will not give that name for giving sake.
yeah,
Is because of the fact that they've gone through what you are currently doing. They have
yeah,
that experience, and because they've spent so much time about it, they have a lot of exposure to deal with things. So, like you said, would rely on a manager to even be able to see beyond what you can see when there are
yeah,
issues on ground. And so that's what you pay for. That experience is what you pay for. It's
okay,
not a matter of how they go up and down and get things done. They could be on their system and they are working.
yeah,
Know that what they are doing is not something that's why they are your manager, really.
yeah,
It's not something that you can do,
yeah,
or you have that potential, but you need to learn from them. They
yeah,
have passed through what you are currently doing to
yeah,
where they are, and as such, they have an extensive experience around it, and they can work their ways around it based on what they've experienced when they were at your level.
yeah.
Don't also forget that at a point you would aim to be the manager. That same place that you feel that you're not doing anything, you would definitely
Aim
that's
to
like
be
next
there.
level.
Yeah.
Yes, that's like
Okay.
next level for you. So whatever it is that you're doing now is preparing you for that time.
Yeah.
But the understanding that employees should have is that if this person is there and is called the manager, the person has earned it.
Okay.
The person has earned it. Most of the time, you
Yeah.
have earned to be there.
Yeah.
Let me give you a personal experience.
Okay.
I'd worked in I'd worked in a bank as a teller,
Okay.
and so basic thing that happens in a teller, it's either you receive money or you pay out cash and all.
Yeah.
But one of the challenges of that work is that you may not balance your till at the end of the day, meaning you could just be looking for some amount of money. And the question will be around, did I overpay somebody,
Yeah.
or did I not receive the actual amount I'm supposed to receive? And so what we do is at the back of the bank instrument, maybe it's the check or the withdrawal slip, you put also describe how you paid out so that you can reconcile at the end of the day. But the day something will happen, you may not just balance your till,
Yeah.
and it's an issue. You can't go home until
Yeah.
that till is 0.00, because
Yeah.
that's how you started it. So
Yeah.
you are given cash and you're returning the cash to the vault, and at the end of the day, it should be. But so you have that issue, and your colleagues are done. They come to help. They check the instruments. They check all of this. They check all your say. What did you post? What did you? They do all of. They count your money again. They do all of that, and you find a supervisor just somewhere.
Yeah.
And after a while, you've wasted your time. You've run up and down. Person just comes to your cubicle,
Yeah.
says, "Open your lap." Checks, pam, 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 pam. Checks your till. Do one or two clicks, and you see that 0.00.
Yeah.
That's the experience.
What,
That's the one
what did
money
they
cannot
do?
buy.
What happened?
Exactly. That's the magic that they hold.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hmm.
Interesting. I mean, that's very true. That's really, really true. Because sometimes you'll be stuck doing something and you're like, the manager walks in and tells you, oh, no, use this side and it's much easier. And you use the side, what have I been doing this past month? Just stressing over this thing every single day. When there was a back end that is much shorter, much more efficient that I could have used. So yeah. You've answered the first part of the next question I'm about to ask, which is how employers determine who gets a raise based on efficiency and all that. Employees usually also want to be the ones sometimes asking for a raise when the company is not offering them one. How should they go about it?
Hmm. So it's part, we have I'd mentioned the HR ecosystem. So
Yeah.
it's the responsibility of some HR to have some guidelines around how salary will be reviewed.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it should be.
Okay.
So let's assume you have an organization that
Yeah.
says, don't expect salary review, don't expect your salary to increase. Just work
Yeah.
for 2, 3 years, you get
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Fits that policy. You work towards it. Just be coming to the office every day. At the end of 3 years, you get a
You get a
review.
promotion. Yeah.
But something needs to be stated. We need to know.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So in some organizations, they are performance driven. They're saying that you're starting with this salary, but as you come into the job, we are assessing your performance and we'll be reviewing your salary
Okay.
based on the budgets that we have and also subject to what you are able to achieve. So we are rating you and we would let you know how much you'll be entitled to based on the assessment of your performance. So
Yeah.
as you are coming into that organization, you know that, oh, my salary is not fixed. By the end of the year one or year two, my performance will be assessed. And as such, based on my performance, I get a review. So
Yeah.
that's how salary review should be defined and it should be in place.
Yeah.
You could also do yourself a favor. Before you take up a job, you ask,
Yeah.
how is salary reviewed in
How
this
the
one? No.
salary
So
review?
it's not the one that you're there, you are stuck with the same amount. And
Yeah.
they tell you that, no, don't do salary reviews. We don't, you know, beforehand before going there. Or
Yeah.
they tell you that we do it annually based on your, so you know what you're working towards. But there
Okay.
should be something that is defined around it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I have an
Yes.
example here, which I picked from Reddit when prepping the episode, and it was someone's lamentation about how they were going to ask for a salary review and the response from HR. And I said, this is a good question to ask you whether or not HRs take this specific response that this HR gave into account when making salary review decisions. So he says, I work in Sweden. I had a friend recruited to an identical position as mine. I had to tutor him for a year, given that I have more work life experience for that gig. He came in earning 1,000 euros a month more than I did. When the time came for salary discussions, I used this example, and my manager tried to pass that along to at least align my salary with his. The HR partner responded that they didn't want to make that drastic raise because, and I quote, there might come a time where he, which is the person who is writing this, wouldn't do the same things as now. And if that happens, we can't downgrade his pay and he would therefore be overpaid. This is because other two team members have been demoted, making the manager pay for less work. We share job descriptions, but they make double what I do. So there's been scenarios where people have been downgraded, but you can't deduct their pay for because the contract says so. Does this really happen in HR considerations in determining who they give a raise to by sort of predicting the likelihood of that person dropping off in consistency in the near future?
So the scenario you've played, I would say it's not consistent with how payment should be structured or salaries should be structured or
Okay.
compensation should be structured in an organization.
Okay.
Let's say that you work in an organization where you have the peak period.
Yeah.
I'm just taking that as a basis now. The
Okay.
reason why some people may have some type of work, they have that heavy responsibility at the time and they are downgraded. They downgraded. I don't know why they will be downgraded, but I'm assuming what they mean is that the responsibility they are doing has reduced, or the
Yeah.
um, workload that they have has reduced. So it's also about understanding the that type of business. It could have its peak period.
Yeah.
Yes, it could have the times that things don't peak that much.
Yeah.
But what an HR person should have done is they have a basis for, this is the minimum. If you really
Okay.
do not even have so much to do, this is it.
Okay.
At the time that you have work to do,
Yeah.
The pay could be variable
Yeah.
in alignment with the workload that
Okay.
you do.
So people could have
So you
flexible
know that
structures.
exactly.
Wow.
So you
Okay.
know that the time that there's no much, this is the basis. The
Yeah.
time as the work increases, you have addition based on that. But you don't earn a higher salary, you know that you can't reduce it. You can't reduce it, and you say you're downgrading the
Ah,
person. So it's more or less like understanding the nature of the work and know how to now define compensation around it.
okay.
So for that, for the guy that says that, yes, HR now says, no, we can't increase it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the decision to raise salary does not sit with HR.
Okay.
It sits with the business, the manager. They are
Yeah.
the ones
I
that are,
don't have the money.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You're doing the work, you're making the revenue, and you know the ones that are making impact to achieve what you have.
Yeah.
So you are making, if you don't have a well-defined policy around how salary will be reviewed, managers now need to come up with how they want it done for them. But really, it's a lapse on HR if you are
Yeah.
there and you're not doing that. But let's say if it's not in place, managers could come to say that, yes, based on what we achieved this year and the contribution of those person into this achievement, I think I'm proposing that this should be done.
Okay. Okay.
I also do not expect that HR just says, no, we will not pay. No,
Yeah.
it
That's
shouldn't be.
interesting. So one final question. I have a friend who retired at the age of 30. And his point was, well, he doesn't see the point of working for other people. He thinks work is slavery. He has a whole philosophical perspective on work. And probably he sits at the very extreme of those who feel that work shouldn't be something that we subject ourselves to. But there are also everyday people who are probably in the middle who are concerned about when do I stop working? When do I quit working? And sometimes people find so many different things in work, meaning, a sense of purpose. People just function by knowing that tomorrow I have something to do. And that gives me some form of mental focus to go to bed, wake up with an objective, and execute it. Work has come to mean so many different things to different people, such that the decision to quit sometimes is difficult. Sometimes people tend to have a toxic relationship with work, not in the sense that work is exploitative, but they just don't know when to stop. From your perspective, I'm sure you've probably advised different people on similar scenarios. When should people find it okay to stop working?
Stop working, do you mean outrightly stop working, retire, and be spending their pension, or stop working in that organization and move to somewhere else? Stop working and starting your own, or
I mean,
stop working and just look
now that
forward to
you've
being
got the
engaged?
different scenarios, let's deal with advice for each of them. So, when do you stop working in a specific organization to look for something else? When do you stop working to start your business? When do you stop working to retire outrightly and just do something?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes. When do you decide to stop working and move somewhere else? I
Yeah.
think we have our personal goals and we have career goals. And when we go into an organization, we go with that, with the mindset that, yes, this organization is able to meet in one way or the other what I do
Yeah.
for the organization, how I work, will continue to meet my career goals.
Yeah.
Or also, I love working here because of what the business stands for,
Yeah.
or the type of um, mission did they have out there, and I'm just in alignment with it. So those are the reasons why you would first have gotten into an organization, continue to work there.
Yeah.
But it gets to a stage where you just also might be seeing that misalignment. And yes, you just also feel that that fulfillment is not coming. Or you also just feel that I don't think this is works for me any longer. I want to move into something else entirely, or I want to look out for another organization. It could be anything. But when you're having that concern and when you're having that doubt, it means maybe it's time for you to move.
Okay.
Most of the time, what happens is that you don't then give your 100% commitment, which is the minimum you're supposed to give where you work.
Yeah.
The time that you have that doubt, the time that you just feel like you ignore things ordinarily you will not ignore, the times that you just leave some things done haphazardly that you
Yeah.
don't usually do, that's more or less like the time something is telling you maybe you need a change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you
So with okay.
I wanted to follow up. What do you say to the people who say that giving 100% is impossible? Like, get up, go to work every day and give 100% is impossible.
That's why I've hired you. That's exact, and that's what I'm paying for. That's a minimum.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
I didn't hire you to come and do 90%. You were hired to give a minimum of 100%. You are
Wow.
exceptional when you do 100% plus.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. 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 Okay.
you will not settle
Interesting.
for less, and I will not encourage you to settle for that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Because I think in recent, um, I don't know, psychology talk, there's been this notion that we can't always give 100%. So you should be okay that some days you might give 70, some days you might give 130, some days you might give 85,
true.
some days you might give 125. And so
Yeah.
don't really judge yourself on whether or not you're able to give 100% every day.
Yes, yes. I align to that thought process. But
Mm.
in the average, you must come to a minimum of 100.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So it's
You
whether
know
or not
that there are
you are
times.
compensating for it on the days when you are feeling great and then overachieving on those days. Okay. Okay. Fair
Yes.
enough. Okay. Next one. When do you retire for to start your own business?
That's your personal decision. That is so personal. It
Yeah.
also depending on your age
Yeah.
and what you want to fall back on, really.
Yeah.
And your motivation to do the work. Like you said, the guy at the extreme saying that work just seems like, if he doesn't do that work, what does he want to do? If he has planned it out to say, this is what I want to do
Yeah.
throughout my life, based on my age right now, no problem, go for it.
Yeah.
It could also even be that you just need a pause, like just some time off, say a year or two, to
Yeah.
get yourself recalibrated, refocus, and know what's next for you.
Yeah.
It can also happen. It might actually not be like a permanent retirement, as it were. It might just be you need some space to get yourself together, know what's next for you, what even matters to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that can happen. It is a personal decision, and as long as you also depend on the work to make ends meet,
Yeah.
so you just need to think twice to say, if I don't do the work, where would I get this source of
Oh,
income to continue to sustain myself? And
okay.
if you have it saved somewhere, why not?
There is, I don't know, amongst young people, like myself, young professionals, there is an increasing trend on social media that being an employee is not what will make you successful in life. Like you should, there's a visible pressure that is driving people to want to quit and start their own business. And that comes from two things. There's the notion that employers are exploitative, and the notion that being an employee doesn't make you wealthy in the future, and that you have to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a businessman to be successful. And that is making it difficult for young professionals to stay motivated in executing their job because they don't see, or there is a gradual chipping away of seeing yourself at a good place in the future doing that work or being a career professional. Are you
Mhm.
facing that situation with trying to motivate people? And what advice do you usually give to people who are in that bubble where they are made to feel that being a career professional won't make you successful?
So success is also relative.
Okay.
Wealth. Okay, let's relate it to
Let's
wealth.
talk about
Like
what.
you want to have so much.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to have so much money. That also is relative. How much is sustainable for me? How much is enough for me?
Okay.
Do I want to be top 100 wealthiest person on earth? If
Yeah.
that's it, you know that, yes, you know the line or what's the path you should take.
Okay.
But saying that working as in an organization or working for an employer will not make you successful, I think it's a flawed mindset.
Okay.
Because, like we said, success is relative.
Yeah.
There's something also called entrepreneurship,
Okay.
and there's entrepreneurship, there's
Yes.
intrapreneurship. There's some people that have taken that path to say, I want to be in an organization and I want to grow
Oh. Okay.
working in that organization. So that's the word for those that are
Okay.
pursuing their career in organizations.
Okay.
What that also means is that you are passionate about what you do, you like it, you love it, and think that's what matters, irrespective of if it's your own personal job or if you're working for someone. If
Yeah.
that's what just makes you wake up daily, but also do not forget that you are within that organization, the way the organization has its mission, you also have a mission within that organization to achieve some objectives. And
Yeah.
as you are meeting it, you are happy with it. And there is also potential for growth. I
Yeah.
think that's what matters. So, say in the HR space, you started as maybe HR generalist, you be
Yeah.
an advisor, you be a people partner, you be a manager, you be a director, you be a VP, and
Okay.
at times could even be a COO. So that is growth for some people, and that is their aspiration.
Yeah.
So if you say wealth, there are some people that worked in an organization that is progressing, that is making so much. If you know their bank balance, you would, yeah, you will know that they are wealthy.
Yeah.
Yes, you will know that they are wealthy.
Yeah. I
But
think,
like I said, it's also relative
yeah. The media space is
as to
just
how
biased.
much makes it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
said?
I was saying the media space is just biased now. This glorification of businessmen and
Yeah.
business ownership and being an
Yes,
entrepreneur. Yeah. Yeah.
yes. I
Okay.
think I would
And
also
then the
advise
final
that,
one.
okay,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
yes, so that I would also advise that, okay, as much as you want to move into your personal business, there are some learnings you
Yeah.
take from, even from structured organizations that you
Yeah.
may work with. And
Okay.
yes, so because with later you'll be employing as well, you'll be having your own team members. You need to ensure that you're compliant. You need to ensure that you fulfill maybe some legislative regulations and all. And these are the things you might be exposed to when you're still working with organizations that put it in place.
Yeah.
So when you're starting your own, you know how to navigate all of that. You know, yeah, these are the tax. What are these are the things that I need to do to ensure that I'm compliant with tax. These are the things I need to do to ensure I'm compliant with employment of
Yeah.
all of that still helps. But just ensure that yes, you get it right before you make that decision that you want to stand on your own.
Okay. Okay. Then the final leg of it, when do people choose? When should people retire? Beyond the age of 60 or the national laws, what requirements there are lots of people who face the dilemma of do I retire early? And I think early retirement has become an appealing topic for a lot of young people now. I want to retire at 45 and go and sit on some cruise ship somewhere, just chilling my life for the rest of it. When when should people decide to leave their jobs and just retire for good?
You're also laughing. You're laughing.
Because when I started saying that people want to retire at 45, I saw you laughing and I'm like, I'm sure you've come across those several times, and your reaction have been, "Children are young." So
No, I think it's fantastic. As long as
okay,
you can fund that retirement throughout your lifespan, as long as you can
okay,
fund it, why not?
okay,
You can decide to anytime. But
yeah,
yes, we live in a world where you just need to sustain yourself.
okay,
You have a family or you don't have, it doesn't matter. Let's even say it's just you.
yeah,
Yes, that sustainability needs to be there.
yeah,
And when you stop working, means that there's no income coming in for you. So you could have had some funds stacked somewhere.
okay,
If you don't work with a company and you're saying that you don't want to do a personal
business,
job or gig or whatever, yes, you just want to retire, more or less like wake up, yes, into the Barbados or whatever highland that you're going and having fun for the rest of, say,
yeah,
um, next 60 years.
yeah,
Fantastic. Long as
you can fund it,
you can fund that lifestyle.
yeah,
It's good.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of young people who listen to our podcast. Currently, we have roughly 42,000 subscribers. Majority of them are young people, like myself. And I know that we face very different or unique work situations that are so difficult to navigate because, for especially for young professionals like ourselves, we face them for the very first time. Like I had a scenario at work that was the very first time I was facing it, and I was quite shocked that this ended well, but I didn't feel quite okay going through it because that was my very first experience of any scenario like that. What do you think are the tools in the workplace that young people should be looking to rely on when they are going through phases of their professional careers or professional developments that they are unfamiliar with?
Yes. So first thing that I would say is when people come into organizations, say
Yeah.
one of the responsibilities that sits with me is to be able to prepare the mind of employees to say that there will be challenging times, but
Okay.
be open to request for support.
Okay.
Be open to ask for that support.
Okay.
So you always see me reiterate it because I know you can be lost in it and you feel that and be frustrated.
Yeah.
But you also now put in a culture where it very easy you get that support, except if you don't open up, except if you don't talk. So there's that support you could get from your peers.
Yeah.
But let's assume that we also now have some senior members, say managers, that maybe are in the line of what you do and
Yeah.
might have even faced what you're facing.
Okay.
Organizations could, yes, be proactive to put in some mentorship programs
Okay.
to identify, yes. So they say, these are your mentors in this space. If it's
Oh,
product, if it's analytics, if it's engineering, these are your mentors that you can easily reach out to,
yeah.
like whatever challenge, or even you want to pivot, you want to change what your career to something else from what you're currently doing.
Yeah.
So there are times that organizations are that proactive to know that they have that in place.
Yeah.
So easily you see, um, yes, these employees knowing who to reach out to, and they're also comfortable that these people will receive them
Yeah.
because they have appointed themselves to be there
As a
to help.
yeah.
Let's also now assume that they don't have such in place. You can seek for it.
Okay.
You can seek for it. You can identify someone that you feel that, yes, I think this person can be helpful in helping me navigate the challenges I'm facing. I think this person, maybe the type of role that this person would have maybe faced the same, or you're just comfortable with speaking with the person, and the
Yeah.
person can be the one to direct you to who can support you. But do not hesitate to always seek help when you need it.
Okay. Thank you so much. This has been To be very honest, a very informative episode. I tend to have episodes that we can talk about so many random things about politics in the US, or something happening with climate change that might not relate a lot more to me or have immediate influence in what I'm doing in life. But this is one of the few episodes where I'm taking notes, and once I'm done, I'm figuring out where in my corporate life am I pushing what buttons to try and influence the
Good,
situations to get the best out of
good.
them. So this has been very, very informative, and I know that people out there would also benefit from it a lot. So thanks so much for joining us on this episode, and it's been lovely having you. Hopefully, we would get to meet sometime in person and have a second version of this discussion. But it's been really nice
Exactly,
meeting you on this.
exactly.